What's up, y'all? It's Wiz Khalifa here. Been hearing a lot of talk on the internet, I usually don't address things, but I figured I'd address it in this way because I like to express myself. And this is how I like to express myself. I wrote a little poem. It's called Stop Making Jokes About My Feet. Stop.
They paid a guy $375 an hour to feed us anti-union propaganda, divide our friendships, surveil and spy on us, and ultimately it worked. Since then, I've spoken to cannabis workers all over the country who are facing similar and equally dire work issues that affect everything from health and safety to scheduling. The new example corporate cannabis is trying to send is that they can take us down just as quickly as they built us up, by eliminating jobs before they could turn into careers. Gage Cannabis laid off over 75 people in a single day without warning, along with several hundred others in March of last year. In June, Common Citizen let go over 100 employees without notice in a single day. And in July, Loom closed 4 stores and let go of over 60 people. This corporate behavior is dangerous. By allowing the same big money interests to brand our industry with poverty wages, no benefits, no upward career movement, and no respect for our communities, we are setting the bar for just how much we are willing to take as a society. We cannot let the bar sit where big cannabis has placed it. But what's worse than losing your job? Going to work and not coming home, which was the case for 27-year-old Lorna McMurray, who was killed at a Trulieve grow facility in Massachusetts last year. Lorna had no history of breathing or respiratory issues, yet her second ambulance ride from work ended up being her last, as she succumbed to those respiratory issues just 4 days later. So is this how we want to be treated? Is this how we want ourselves to be treated? As disposable? As a means to an end? If there are no protections put in place for workers, like the upskilling that is needed and enforcement of health and safety protections, and if workers do not find their voice and come together in the workplace, it is not a matter of if, but a matter of when someone doesn't come home to their family at the end of the day right here in Michigan. The overpromising of big cannabis can no longer be ignored or swept under the rug.
Whistleblower exposes how Trulieve new immigrants on visas would be deported before ever even hiring them.
Yeah, so a lot of the Latino employees that we had, they were in the country on work visas and stuff like that. A lot of them were on the harvest team, that and the outdoor crew. And she's the one that actually blew the lid on it. So when she found out, she went to her superiors and she was like, hey, is this true that if people working for Trulieve, they can't renew their green cards, they can't renew their work visas? And they were like, yeah. And she goes, well, why aren't we telling them this? And they were like, well, it's not important. And she was like, yes, it is. This is big because these people will get deported. It's not they might get deported. They will get deported. And they were like, well, we're working on that. And so anyway, they didn't want to tell the employees. They actually told her to be quiet.
Welcome. We're live. Mike Crawford. Good to be back. been out for a few weeks. That was our last show. I think it was about 2 weeks ago now. The last 4 shows I've been under the influence of COVID, and I could tell, but the shows were very good shows because of the guests. Feel like we're breaking a lot of news lately. Hopefully we do again tonight. We're expecting some calls, hopefully from Trulieve workers. We were hoping to have Claudia right from the beginning of the show here, but unfortunately she's still at Easter dinner. She may be joining us in a little bit. She's a Trulieve Florida worker that James had referenced in that last interview. We definitely are trying to get her on the show tonight or anytime in the near future. We shall see. But we also have another guest. If you notice that little intro, we start out with Wiz Khalifa, the Trulieve rapper. He's their big star spokesperson who took a lot of heat on Twitter this week or last week. I don't even know. It was the last couple weeks. He responded to the troll. A troll was coming after him every day about his affiliation with the terrible Trulieve. And Wiz spoke back, retweeted the guy, and everyone went nuts on it. And it was very interesting to see Wiz Khalifa come back with an actual video about it, which we played a little bit in the intro. And he actually liked our video of James speaking about the deportation, the Trulieve letting workers get deported at their Florida cultivation site. It looks like Wiz Khalifa saw that video. We're saying call in tonight, Wiz. If you're watching tonight, call in, Wiz. Call in, Kim. We want to talk to you. Let's talk this out, man. I'm not looking to hate Wiz Khalifa. I'm really not. He's talked about don't talk about my feet. We're talking about your weed, dude. And I get what you're saying, man. I definitely do get it. I don't like racism. I don't think this is about racism. I know how you could feel that way. I know that there's a lot more to, the institutional racism and just, in general, everything. You got your money, you're happy, and here we are. And a lot of people are kicking down on you, the big star, because of this Trulieve thing. And I understand that you think it's about your feet, but we think it's about other things. We think it's about the workers. And that's the issue we're bringing. We're not trying to hate on you. We'd love to hear from you. I think the best thing you could do, Wiz Khalifa, is just to speak on this and talk about it. We're hoping to take some phone calls tonight. We have someone that I want to bring up. We also, in this intro video, let me turn that down. I don't know if people can hear that. I've got my Bluetooth on. It's ready to go. It wasn't working earlier, but now it's working. We're hoping to get Claudia on the show. We also have a guest here that you may have heard. She spoke at the Hash Bash. It was quite interesting what went down at the Hash Bash. With her speech, she talked about workers getting laid off nationwide. She also talked about Lorna McMurray, the Trulieve worker who passed away. So in that intro montage, it was Wiz Khalifa. It was our first guest, Stacy, that we're going to bring up right now. And it was James from last week. So let's bring up Stacy right now, and she can give an introduction on who she is. And I can check the messages and see what Claudia is saying. Hopefully Claudia is going to be on the show very soon. Hello, Stacy.
Hi.
How
Thanks
you
for
doing?
having
Welcome
me
to the
on.
show.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the work that you're doing for the workers and, having me on today.
And tell us about you. Who, because I know you've got a background and some titles. So who is Stacy? And say your last name. I don't want to screw that up either. It's Wada
So
Trubosky?
Wachowski.
Wotropsky. Yeah, that seems actually easier
Yeah,
than I
it's
tried.
okay. I respond to a lot of different enunciations of it at this point. It's been 37 years of that shit. So, but yeah, so my name is Stacey Wachowski, and since 2020, I guess I've been a cannabis workers' rights activist. How that happened was back in 2020, I started at my first licensed cannabis job in the legal market. I started at a dispensary literally the day after everything got shut down here in Michigan. Prior to that, I worked hospitality for a long time and was also a cannabis caregiver, a legal grower here in Michigan. So very shortly after I started at this dispensary, there was a lot of red flags, and I spearheaded a unionization effort with the UFCW. And that was in August of 2020. And by, the end of or middle of September, they had union busted and it worked. After that, I started interning with the UFCW to be an organizer with the international. So I spoke to workers, literally cannabis workers specifically, all over the country. And I realized that, the issues that I and me and my coworkers were having at work, they were not unique as far as like the root cause, but B, there are so many more problems going on throughout this industry. And it is mind blowing that we have allowed the cart to be put so far ahead of the horse when it comes to health and safety, in the licensed market. So since then, I have developed a website called the cannabisworkersresource.com, which just launched a few weeks ago, not even a couple weeks ago. We're still working out some of the kinks, but hopefully we can talk about that a little bit and how Trulieve workers and other workers all over the country can take advantage of the resources that are on the site in order to file complaints wherever they need to, and get the word to the right people without having to dig for it, and for the fear of being found or caught or whatever it might be.
I
So
love that.
now,
I love that, to have
hopefully
that
we get to
resource
talk to
site.
more workers, and we get to blow the top off of more of these really important, dire issues that are going on in cannabis right now.
And I'm glad you said the word fear, because there's a lot of fear in the air right now. Even with me, I'm fearless on this stuff, and I'm not afraid of Trulieve. I know some of the folks who have come on the show in the past, and some of the folks that we want to come on the show in the future do get afraid, and there is some stuff that's come out that just has added to the fear, unfortunately. I don't even want to reference it. I won't even get into all that drama tonight. But it exists. And I think my advice to people is you have more fear when you hold it in, when you don't share what you know, because if it's that really important, your best protection is to air it out, because once you air it out, there's nothing they can do. Honestly, I know that a lot of people have signed non-disclosure agreements. I understand that. But you can be anonymous on this show too. You don't have to use your real name. And obviously there are protections for workers. When you're talking about worker safety issues, you are protected. There's not even a question about that. So I think people should be less fearful. And I think that as we've noticed over the last month, there's been a community of workers to come together, like from Florida to Massachusetts to Michigan. We're starting to connect California. Like I'm hearing all across the nation. My phone rings off the hook. Clearwater, Florida. I get so many calls from. Got another one tonight. Hopefully they call in later. It's just there's a power in numbers. So I hope that people don't be afraid, because I think that when we speak out, let's make them afraid. I think Trulieve and Wiz Khalifa are afraid. They're afraid to call in. What do you think about that, Stacey, about the fear issue?
Oh, it's massive, and it's understandable too. Like, I have the point of reference to this, like from a very personal standpoint, because I did spearhead the unionization at the dispensary that I worked at, and the fear, like not only that I experienced, but what I saw my coworkers experience is indescribable. There is nothing more confusing and scary than knowing what you need as a human being to survive, and not only to survive but to thrive, and having the people that is supposed to respect you, your employer, telling that you do not deserve those things, that you do not deserve a living wage, that you do not just a living wage, a thriving wage, that you don't deserve to have benefits, that you don't deserve to have a savings account, that your kid doesn't deserve to join the baseball team because you don't have enough fucking money to save up for it, because what's a savings account anymore, right? It was really disheartening. So any workers out there that are watching, I understand at least a little bit of what you're going through and what that fear comes from, and that is understandable. However, Mike, you are very right in that the longer that you go holding it in, it's like confronting something that is going to be hard to do, and putting it off only creates more anxiety, only creates more stress. So even if you're not going to, your boss, go and talk to your other coworkers, because chances are they're having some kind of issue too. And it might not be the same as what you're going through, but I guarantee somebody else is experiencing something and you can all come together and relate. But don't hold it in. The sooner you can do it, the better. And it
Let's
will release a lot of those fears too.
Thank you, Stacy. Let's talk about your speech that we played to intro the show. We played a bit of it. What we kind of clipped out at the end was the big response, because this was the Hash Bash in Michigan. It's an annual thing. I feel like 50 something years. How long it's been going? Like a long time, right?
This is the 52nd annual Hash Bash. It was not in person for those 2 years of COVID, but this is the second year it was back in person. It was fantastic. It is still, as I believe, don't completely quote me on this, I didn't look it up, but I think it's the longest running prolific cannabis protest in the United States. So there have been everything from major politicians to actors and actresses, speaking on behalf of cannabis legalization. So I was very honored to be able to speak there this year about cannabis workers' rights, because, as this isn't a topic that is being touched on nearly enough as it needs to, nearly enough. But Hash Bash was a great opportunity to be able to get the word out there. The response from people was a lot more positive than I had experienced from talking to non-cannabis people. Especially being here in Michigan, the word union has a lot of weight to it, a lot of it. So, there's a lot of connotations that people like to associate, but the reception at Hash Bash was very good. And it was very good amongst the cannabis workers that were there working for their licensed companies. They were like, oh yeah, like we're on the same page. Like, we need education, we've figured out how to do this on our own, but we're still like, hey, can you guys throw us a bone here? Maybe a handbook that makes sense. I don't know. Something.
Yeah. Yeah. Stacy, too, you could tell by the response. I wish I'd played that video a little longer, but there was a lot of response to your speech, and online too. Like, were you surprised at how much response that got, like in person, in terms of applause, and then especially online too, like on Twitter, and people were sharing that a lot. I saw that everywhere. Were you surprised by that it carried so far?
I was surprised. The fact that it was Hash Bash, I knew that, and I was hoping that was like the main point, is like, okay, here is a platform to get this out to the right people and to more people that will listen. Immediately after that, there's somebody that works with some state representatives that came up to me and said, hey, sounds like you might need some help with some worker legislation. It's like, boom, that's exactly what I wanted out of this. It's to push things in the right direction. This is only to get the word out there and get this movement in the way that we need it to. So yeah, I was surprised, but absolutely happy about it. And I hope it continues. And I really want to thank the 0.25 milligram mushroom microdose a friend gave me about 45 minutes prior, because if I didn't have that, I don't think I would have read that nearly as well as I did.
Well, I was going to ask that. I was going to what is your secret? Because you had all, and now I think the mushrooms are still kicking in, because you answered the question before I even ask it. You were on the spot, with where people got laid off and the number. Sometimes I really screw up or trying to read it. It's hard. How were you so kept the fire and kept all the facts and just went right through it? How were you? Have you done a lot of public speaking in the past? I know how hard it is, especially at an outdoor event. How did you do that?
Well, I did write that speech back in October, and didn't follow through with giving it. So I beefed it up, added some new stuff, and then once again, honestly, it was that perfect microdose, 0.25 milligrams of psilocybin mushrooms, because it is legal in Ann Arbor, Detroit, and Ypsilanti, and decriminalized here. So that was perfect. Honestly,
Excellent.
it kind of unlocked what it needed to. But it's passion too, man. Like talking to workers like you have and stuff. It's not only just what I went through, but it is everything that came after that, and realizing what we're really up against and what we
Right.
have to do to make this the industry that we can all thrive in, and be the industry that we all voted for and wanted to see. I wanted a good job. Like, I'm sick of looking over my shoulder growing weed, right? Which it's legal here now, but still there's always something, right? Like, I wanted a job that I could go to and grow with and go within. And that couldn't be more opposite. So, the sooner that we can take control as workers, the sooner we can make this the industry that we're all going to be working in and thriving in the way that we want to. Because without us, all they have are buildings, licenses, and loans. So you're the reason that this industry is working the way it is.
And we are taking phone calls tonight too. So if people want to call in, you can call in 978-560-3155. We're speaking to Stacy from Michigan. She gave that excellent speech at the Hash Bash in Michigan. What was that? That was in the beginning. No, when was that? Like just a week ago? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was April 1st.
April 1st. Okay. Perfect. And we're also speaking about James. He came on the show last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago now. And he was talking about the green card holders. They didn't know what was going to happen to them at work. Before we do that, let's take this call too. We got a call. Let's take it right now. See if we can get this up. I think we have you up.
Hello.
Hi, who's calling?
Christopher.
Hi, Christopher. You're one of those.
How
Florida,
are you?
You're one of those Florida numbers. What would you like to talk
Yeah.
about? You're live on the air right now.
I want to talk about Trulieve's involvement with the Kill Hemp bill.
Okay.
It would make federally legal hemp products a felony in Florida. It would literally turn almost 10 million Floridians into felons for buying federally legal hemp products, all to benefit Trulieve. Kim Rivers of Trulieve is working with Nick LaRossi of Capital City Consulting. They're backdoor lobbying the Kill Hemp bill, SB 1676 and HB 1475. It's
Yep.
bad, man. It's really bad. I work for a hemp company, which I'll remain nameless, and they're going to be literally out of business if this bill passes, and it looks like it's probably going to pass because it's got everyone bought off that needs to be bought off.
And when would
Nick
that pass?
LaRossi's
This is in Florida. When would that kind of happen, do you think?
I think it's in May.
So it's coming up. I see
I
that,
think July.
yeah, I see it being discussed a lot on
Yep.
Instagram, especially, and TikTok. So would you lose your job if this passed?
Yeah, I will be unemployed if this passes. It's not. It's really. It's just not fair. Like, I was one of the ones that was advocating for medical marijuana Amendment 2 years back, and we did all that work, and now we've got the hemp bill that was passed through Nikki Fried of the Agricultural Commission of Florida. She did a great job, but she decided to run for governor instead of continue to be the agricultural commissioner. So the problem is the crony capitalism by the 21 licenses that have their license already. So as a result of that, it's everyone that's selling hemp isn't going to be able to sell hemp anymore. It's depressing. 200,000 jobs will be gone.
And this is in the state of Florida.
This is in the state of Florida.
Some
Yeah.
cannabis advocates, I think in good faith. I don't think Trulieve is in good faith on any of this stuff, but some folks that I know think there are some needed regulations for hemp and CBD, but a lot of other folks
So stuff like
seem to think this
stuff like
goes
the
way too
Skittles-
far, right? Does this go way too far?
Yeah,
This bill.
so they use the example of like, oh, it's all about the children and then they showed the Skittles packaging, which is like ridiculous. And there's not smoke shops that are selling to children. They're just not. They're not doing that. So their idea of regulation is to literally get rid of hemp, get rid of Delta 8, get rid of Delta 9, and get rid of which is hemp-derived Delta 9. It's going to kill the industry. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's backdoor lobbying orchestrated by Trulieve, we think.
Well, thank you for calling, Chris.
You know, it would. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you one more thing. Like on this, like
Sure.
this would ban all CBD, all hemp products. Is that correct in Florida?
Yes, all hemp, all CBD, all Delta 8, all Delta 9, hemp-derived Delta 9. So you've got these kind of like they're in Florida. There's 22 dispensaries, either 21 or 22 dispensaries that are full-fledged MMTCs, and then all the mom and pop shops are able to sell hemp-derived Delta 9 and Delta 8. So it gives us something. It gives us part of the market share. So because the MMTCs don't like to compete with the Delta 9, they want everyone to have to go and get their medical marijuana card, and they want everyone to have to. And since they've declared war against the mom and pop hemp farmers, their stock has gone below $6 for the first time ever. The Trulieve stock. So it's Trulieve literally, like, they don't want to have to compete with them. They don't want to. They don't want. They want everyone to have to get their medical marijuana card, and everyone to have to buy from Trulieve, because Trulieve has about 50% of the market share of the MMTCs. And that means more black market. So they're not doing anyone any favors.
How can people, if people in Florida want to stop this hemp ban, what can they do?
Call Ron DeSantis' office. So Ron DeSantis, we think it might be in bed with Nick LaRossi, who is a lobbyist. So it might not matter. Just because, like, these people, they don't care about how many jobs it's going to kill. They just push the it. Oh, it's about the children. It's about the children. That's the picture that they paint in order to get rid of Delta 8 and Delta 9 hemp. FDAC's fired the 20 inspectors. They string the enforcing the current laws.
Thank you. Let me ask you another question too, because I was hoping to talk to Stacy right before you called about this. We had just played a clip from last week's show from James, the ex-Trulieve employee, who talked about these immigration issues at Trulieve, where they weren't telling their workers that they were going to be deported for working there. Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about that specifically, no.
Okay. All right. I do have Stacy back, so I'm going to actually ask her about it, because I want to. I mean, are you surprised to find out that they've been doing evil things to green card holders? Let me ask you that.
No, it's basically human trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we actually have started titling it. Someone suggested that. I think it's a good idea. Thank you so much, Chris, for calling in. Stacy, you have any comment on anything he's been bringing up on hemp, or do you want to move on to the other stuff about Trulieve?
Can you hear me? Because you're frozen
Yeah.
on my end.
Nope, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So I did want to ask, because I wasn't entirely sure about what this bill was. So when you say that it would make 10 million Floridians criminals in their own home, does that mean you can't buy any kind of hemp CBD online? Like, how would that how is that enforceable?
Well, who knows how enforceable the Hillsborough County Sheriff and the other sheriffs will actually be. We don't know that, but you can't. It's illegal to have a license to sell, and it's illegal to also buy it. You have to go and get your medical marijuana card, and then you have to have your MMTC license to be able to sell. So it's considered to be you're in the black. You're pretty much in the black market if you continue to sell. Everyone that get their license from the agricultural commissioner office, they all have to get a hemp license. That's pretty easy to get. That any reasonable person can get a hemp license.
Thank you so much, Chris, for calling in.
Thank you.
Thanks for answering that.
Have a great night. We're the Young Jerks. I'm with Stacy right now. Stacy, I want to move over to what we were starting to talk about is the Trulieve workers. We opened up earlier from Florida, and James last week talked about people getting deported because Trulieve didn't let them know that their job wasn't considered legal under federal immigration law. So therefore, it didn't count. And they weren't honest with the employees about it. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I saw that specific clip. I wasn't able to catch the entire episode, but first of all, it's so fucked up, excuse my language, that they knew that this was going to happen, but at the same time, it's like I expect nothing less from these people anymore. Like it sucks that we have to expect the very worst. And, the very worst can also be some of the most like heinously creative shit. So, it made me think though that there were last year, I had heard some rumors going on around here in Michigan that certain outdoor farms, not just outdoor, but some indoor farms as well, were bussing in illegal immigrants during harvest season. For those couple months. And, at the end, some of them were not paying those workers. They either ran out of money. One person said that, oh yeah, through the grapevine, which I do trust this source, they said, yeah, well, they ended up running out of money. And when the one guy said, hey, we have to pay these workers for, harvest season, they said, fuck those people. We'll get more. So I think that attitude is kind of the attitude of all of big cannabis. And to hear this is happening, if there is no repercussions for this, we have to really evaluate about going stronger as far as organizing and going quicker, because these kind of actions absolutely cannot stand in this new industry. And especially with the fact that these, I keep wanting to say bad words, sorry, but these cats, in their regulatory capture, really have done a number on us as the people. And the sooner we step up to them, the sooner we can kind of stop things, in the tracks as best as we can. But if we don't, we're going to keep going down this track a lot quicker and a lot more brutally than we are prepared for.
Now, we've had quite a few comments. I'm going to read some of those comments right now. I'll put a few up. Most of them have just been supportive of us, honestly. But, a couple F Ron DeSantis. That was like one that came up over and over again. People are not happy about Ron DeSantis in Florida. Someone else said Kim stays nose deep in politics. I'm going to say call in Kim. Hashtag call in Kim tonight. We're just going to keep going with hashtag call in Kim until Kim from Trulieve calls in. She has to call in. We know she listens. We know she blocked our Twitter. Also, a new hashtag is call in Wiz. I want to talk to you about that, Stacy. I'm sure you saw the Wiz Khalifa response. Let's take this call too. This is going to be another interesting. I think this might be another hemp call, but let's see. I don't want to go too much on the hemp tonight, honestly. I know a lot of people are into the hemp. I want to talk about some of these other things, but we will take this call because I like who's calling. Hey, who's on the line? Is this
Howdy,
Michael?
This is Tim.
This is who? Oh, this is Kim.
Tim.
Oh, Sam.
This is Tim. I'm calling. Yeah, I'm calling in regards to the involvement with the human trafficking. And the thing is that stems from the former state rep Hasley Bashirs, who was responsible for those little tweaks, the law that gave Trulieve the monopoly back when SBAA was initiated. And his brother, Thad Bashir, just happens to be one of the largest shareholders of Trulieve. Ain't that a coincidence? And the thing is I believe this happened on their family farm. So it was a former state rep farm where this incident occurred. And from what I heard, this has actually happened in the past before. Now, on the hemp side of things, I'm a hemp farmer down here, 4 generations here in Florida. That is a total backdoor deal, and they are freaking the hell out. That Trulieve does not want this. They were trying to pass this as if it's food regulation. And I know you said you didn't want to deal with the hemp thing, but you got to realize that the hemp industry here in Florida is one of the largest in the United States. You got THCA flower, which is just like any other cannabis. It's just the government getting involved telling us what the difference is between hemp and cannabis. It's selling like crazy down here. They're freaking out because their sales are going to pardon my French, is going to shit. And because nobody wants that damn moldy weed. You know, you got a free market. We're blue-blooded, capitalists down here in Florida. And when you have a system that puts barriers to entry so nobody else can get in, it's going to breed inefficiencies in the marketplace, right? So this is what's happening here. We have terrible products. It's almost as if you got one power company and that's the only company you can go to. That's exactly what's happening here in Florida. So if this goes through, it's going to be egg on Ron DeSantis' face. And I'm telling you right now, Donald Trump, he signed the 2018 Farm Bill. That's what legalized this hemp. And this is Ron DeSantis and his cronies, Nick Rosie, the other person that called in. This is them trying to basically screw over Trump because Trump was the one that legalized it in the first place. And Trump's not involved with the whole thing. He's not involved with he's not cut in the deal with Trulieve. That's a Ron DeSantis deal. And from what I hear is that, because we got some friends up there in North Florida, they say a little joke like, you're from North Florida, you're more southern than us down here in Central Florida. But I just wanted to put that out there that, more people are waking up. I appreciate you keep doing the investigations and everything because those videos are going everywhere now. And I say we do a big boycott on Trulieve. We need to do a boycott. We need farmers. We need ranchers, bikers, veterans. They don't give a damn if you got a bunch of liberals up there. I'm sorry. They just don't care. You need a bunch of gun-toting conservatives. That'll scare the crap out of them. And that's what we need to have on these, when we go do boycotts, we need to do protests. We're talking about almost 190,000 jobs gone, $500 million in tax revenue gone from the hemp industry. And just so they can continue doing human trafficking, labor trafficking. This is ridiculous. So that's all I got to say. I'll go ahead and take my comments off the air. Thank you very much.
Wait. Before you go, I got a couple questions for you. Number one, you're getting support online. People are quoting you right now. Boycott corporate weed is one that came up, one of the comments. Where you started, you talked about Bashir's. Can you repeat that? Because sometimes I'm a little slow with the COVID brain fog. I want to make sure I understood what you said because I think that was really
so Hasley Bashirs was friends with JT Burnett, right? He's the one who put in the little tweaks at the last minute. We were working with the legislatures. I believe it was Senator Bradley at the time, and I think it was Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was a state rep then. We were working with them. Other farmers were working with them, Cattlemen Association. And the bill was nice. It wasn't perfect, but they put a little tweak in at the very last minute that basically made a 30-year requirement. And that was Trulieve's doing. That was Hasley Bashir's doing. He was on a jet with Matt Gaetz with underage girls. That's what's alleged. You go look up the the Tampa Bay Times, I believe, is going to have that story in there. Now, Hasley Bashir is brothers with Thad Bashir, and he's one of the largest shareholders of Trulieve. Just a total coincidence. But what we need to do is we do need to boycott Trulieve. We need to start with the smallest groups that they're associated with. You can't just go straight out and boycott Trulieve. You need to boycott the associations that's hosting them, the doctor's offices that's hosting them, their community outreach that they go to the veterans associations, the different veterans places. Trulieve goes out there. We need to boycott them. Let them know the backlash. Then it starts to snowball. Bigger names, bigger brands. Then we'll have enough momentum to go to Wiz Khalifa. We can go to him and say, hey, look, man, do you realize what the hell you're doing? How what you're doing is disenfranchising more minorities than anything else. You're taking a little, oh, great, you're making some damn money, but think about all your African-American brothers and sisters that you're screwing over, because now they're never going to be able to get in this industry.
Thank you. That was a great call. I got one more question for you. We had James on last week or last show talking about the workers are getting deported, legal green card holders, because they don't know that Trulieve is not a legal job under the federal immigration law, and Trulieve withholds that information for their own benefit. It is like human trafficking. What do you think about that? Is that getting around in Florida? Is there people talking about that?
Oh, it's everywhere. It's all over Instagram. Blacklist is posting it. It's everywhere, and this is just the beginning, because this is they screwed up. They declared war against the hemp industry, and they're going to look back and they're going to be like, God damn, we screwed up. We shouldn't have done this, and that's what's going to happen, because there's a lot more of us than there are of them, and we need to remember that. We need to vote with our dollars.
It's a great call. Stacy, you have any comment or questions for him?
No, I absolutely agree. Thank you for laying all of that out. I really had no idea that this hemp bill was going on. And absolutely, when it comes to the boycott, it needs to happen for sure. Any kind of assistance you need here in Michigan, hit me up, man. StacyBase_85 on Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you so much for the
Appreciate
call.
y'all.
We're going to get going.
Yep,
We've
y'all
got
keep up
other
the good
people
work.
calling in tonight. If we missed your call, please call back. Thank you so much. That was a great first caller. He was good. I thought he was somebody else, because I'm getting like more than one call at the same time, and I'm getting confused, but they were all from Florida tonight, I'm noticing. We missed some. We'll try to call them back, hopefully. We really want a special call tonight from Claudia. We want to talk to Claudia. We've also had a lot of comments come through. Facebook, and not Instagram. We're trying to get on Instagram tonight. I think we're going to get on Instagram soon, but we had a lot of comments coming in from Twitch tonight, which is a new one. Not too many usually. One is Stacy, I love you. Wow. They're also talking about
Love
the
you
Khalifa.
too, bro.
Yeah, they said they got that Khalifa Kush. That's that Zaza. I don't know what that one is, but Trulieve has the Zaza. I don't know, it's always funny, the comments that come in from Twitch, because sometimes I'm like, I don't even know what they're trying to say. It's like a different world over there. I like it,
know
though.
what that means.
Yeah, I love
not a young
Twitch, though.
stoner, I'm an old stoner.
Yeah, when Twitch comes through, I get excited. That means they're watching too. On YouTube, Kayla wrote AKA Pot Daddy. I think she's talking about she has John Morgan. She says Ron DeSantis screwing over everyone who was against him, including passing things to screw John Morgan, who was also known as the Pot Daddy. We had a lot of other comments too come through. If you have something to say, you can definitely leave a comment on any of the social media feeds you're watching us on, in the chats, on the YouTube, the Facebook, the Twitch, the LinkedIn, and you can also call in. That's what we really like, is the phone calls, 978-560-3155. I'm going to try. You know what? I'm going to try to do something right now. I want to bring up Claudia. Do you want to talk to Claudia too, Stacy? She's like this amazing whistleblower, I guess. The one that was at Trulieve, who was like, we're not taking this shit anymore. I'll try to get her on the phone right now. Let me see if I can find her number, first of all. I wonder if that was her that called earlier from a different number. That's why I want to call her. I don't want to forget to call Claudia tonight. We're going to try her right now. Hopefully we don't interrupt her family Easter dinner. Still ringing. But again, we're the Young Jerks. My name is Mike Crawford. We're also with Stacy from Michigan tonight. We're talking about Trulieve. And yeah, she is not answering right now. So hopefully she does call in later. We did hear from her via text, and she said she was going to try to call in. If you want to call in tonight, 978-560-3155. Do you know what? Do you want to take some more calls too, Stacy? You think I should call back this other person who tried to reach us earlier? Or do you have something that you want to add right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. At some point, there has been a lot of comments here, which I would love to talk about at some point if you have the time. But the corruption case that was just unveiled here in Michigan.
Michigan, yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, in regards to medical marijuana. This was on Thursday. There was a press conference, and 4 people have been charged with. So there's one gentleman who is a former Speaker of the House. What's his name? Johnson something. I forgot his first name. But he's been charged with accepting a bribe, which is a felony, punishable by up to 10 years in federal prison. He was also the head of the Medical Marijuana Licensing Board. So the way that this came about was that, so I'm looking at the Detroit News right now, so I don't completely butcher this. But so the FBI in Michigan unveiled their case against former Michigan House Speaker Rick Johnson and 2 lobbyists and an Oakland County businessman. They revealed that all 4 individuals had already agreed to plea deals. Okay. So they admitted that they were guilty and agreed to plea deals. By the way, this has been going on for a while, but they just announced it. So let's see here. The 2 lobbyists had some kind of foundation that they had like either given or taken money. And then this other businessman was charged with payment of a bribe, which is also a felony. But the fact that the former House Speaker, Rick Johnson, has taken a plea deal for taking a bribe is a very big deal. And this is in regards to doling out medical marijuana licenses here in the state of Michigan back in 2016. So they're saying that there were people that were paying to get licenses to get into the medical marijuana industry here in the state, which we all fucking knew. We're like, hey, this is happening. They're like, oh, yeah, whatever. And now it's actually coming out and they're doing something about it. Now, will this create precedent for elsewhere? Who knows? But it is very good to see that something is happening. Is it enough? No. But will it be the catalyst to bring a lot more to light that we all know is going on literally everywhere when it comes to that cannabis industry? Hopefully, yeah.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm trying to get your title up right now, too. Is it Cannabis Workers? Say that again. Cannabis Workers, the website?
Cannabis Workers Resource.
Hopefully I spell this right. I'm going to put this up, too, hopefully. Does that look right? Oh, why? This is what kills me, is when it doesn't perfectly align, though.
The font.
Yeah.
Yes, but that is the website that that I launched on April 1st, the day of Hash Bash. We're still going through a couple kinks here, but we are reloading, I guess. I don't know. I'm not like the web person. My web developer is doing all the things. Yeah, it's going to be relaunching on or before 420. And it is essentially a combination of everything that I've kind of realized we need as workers and small businesses in the industry, at least a start of, kind of what we need. And it is a resource hub for, all cannabis workers and small businesses that are not getting the training or guidance that they need. This is a lot of information that's already available, except it is not easy to find. I have a clickable map that has every state in the US. And let's say you're in Massachusetts, you click on Massachusetts, and there is a direct link to exactly where to file a complaint for discrimination and harassment in your state. a direct link to file for unpaid wages, a direct link to file a complaint with OSHA, a direct link to file a cannabis facility complaint, so on and so forth. How to claim unemployment. Everything is direct specifically for your state, so you're not going around fishing and getting discouraged. This gets you exactly where you need to go to make it as easy as possible to file with whoever you need to file with and get these receipts so we can start making changes in health and safety and start helping the small businesses that are trying to do it right.
Excellent. And again, that's Cannabis Workers Resource.com. CannabisWorkersResource.com. You can find all that information at. We've got more comments. I'm still trying to get Claudia on the phone. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's working out tonight. Really kind of disappointed on that, honestly. It's hard to hide because there's like the big get on the show tonight, and when you don't get what you want, you just got to keep going. But we also have Wiz Khalifa to talk about. You saw some of that this week with Wiz Khalifa responding. Thought it was hilarious that he responded to the.
That honestly, I was shocked. I would like, okay, you can, and I don't want to make light of the labor issue that's going on with the immigrants, but however, like him retweeting that and responding to it, I found to be hilarious, but also this brought something really big to light to a lot of people that would have never looked at it to begin with.
Yeah, it was bananas. Wiz Khalifa responds, basically to what we've been covering, Trulieve criticism, and he talked about his feet, which I thought was kind of strange, and then I feel like he went homophobic or something. Like he was talking about like polished toenails or something. It got kind of weird. Like I was like, I don't know. And I was just like, I wanted to do a response video. I'm like, should I take off my shirt like he did and like, stand outside with my shirt off and do a little poem or something? But I don't know. Instead, I just decided to throw up some of the comments in a little video that we did. I thought that was best. He got pretty much like destroyed. Like there was like he was upset about the comments before that and then did a video and then more comments came. Like I was just like, I don't know, man. Like I wonder what he's thinking. And then this morning I noticed it's like after all the controversy died, like we were all posting videos. We post James' video. And then like this morning I wake up and I noticed he had just liked James's video. So I guess he must have seen what James said in the last show. And that's why I wanted to have Claudia on tonight. Unfortunately, she's not responding to us. She's apparently got family stuff come up on Easter. I wish I had realized that it was Easter. I'm so slow, But anyway,
it happens.
Yeah, we'll try to get Claudia on another show maybe. But this is like, Khalifa's going off on this stuff. What do you think he's thinking right now? Do you think he even like realizes like how bad Trulieve is, or does he just not care? He's just thinking about the money. Like, what do you think about all this?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think it's something that brought the cannabis labor issue to an audience that, like I said, would not ever look twice at this, nor would it have been brought directly to their doorstep. So in that aspect, I think it's a very good thing. Which is, dude, Lou, champion, by the way. Love you, Lou Rinaldi. That quote, actually, it's Bomb Weed Champ, is fucking hilarious. But
so let's make sure that the people listen to this back on the podcast later, they don't see the graphics. So I want to make sure people know what you're talking about. Lou Rinaldi just posted. Actually, it's Bomb Weed Champ, and that was what set this whole thing out. Wiz Khalifa posted that in response to pretty much the biggest troll on Twitter about this. And that's what set it off because, they were criticizing Wiz Khalifa's Trulieve mids, rapper mids, he was calling them. And Wiz Khalifa came back. Actually, it's Bomb Weed Champ. And that's what set it off. It was pretty hilarious. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
It really was, dude. It really was. But look at the now what has become of that. I think, I don't think that Wiz Khalifa is, a complete idiot. And, I think that when it comes to a lot of these celebrity brands, they just like when it comes to them putting their names on perfumes and colognes, or putting your name on jeans, that are made, with slave labor in China. Like, this is kind of that, going along the same lines of they don't realize, nor is anything that they are concerned about at face value, because they're not thinking about this is, the working aspect of it. They're like, oh yeah, I've seen my friends grow weed before, that this is a new thing and it's happening in America. So why would it be so bad? But I do think that Wiz and definitely his people are looking into what's going on over here. They're smart. They are. If they're smart, that there are people that are in the right position right now to be looking into these, accusations that are being made on Twitter, which are very real. These aren't just accusations. These are, calling people out on bad labor practices and shitty, moldy weed that happen because of your bad labor practices.
Right. Exactly. It's we got some more comments. Lou writes, hashtag go shirtless Mike.
Woo.
I'm sure some of you would like that. And he also writes, Wiz has a deal with Cresco too, which is much better. I mean, it's
No, they're
yeah.
awful.
Alex Miller writes, he's a Trulieve former worker too, from Florida, Clearwater. He's a great whistleblower. He's up actually for one of our awards we're having later this month, actually beginning of May 7th. We have an event that I hope people check out, the Cannabis Workers Awards. Alex is up for an award. The awards actually just came in. I just received the shipment. I'm very happy about them. So Alex Miller, one of the nominees, says minorities for medical marijuana should comment on the labor trafficking. Oh, they won't. They'll just read all our posts on LinkedIn. Them and Trulieve, just they follow everything that we do on Trulieve on LinkedIn, but they never leave a comment. They never do, Alex. You know that. But that's one of the groups that probably should be protested. Minorities for medical marijuana, who basically sold an award to Trulieve this year.
Really?
Yeah, the Fine Print writes, the podcast on YouTube writes, now look at the Wu-Tang Clan and Snoop Dogg. I'm not even going to get into the Wu-Tang Clan, because I like them, and I don't even, but Snoop Dogg, I don't know, man. Snoop Dogg is just, he's done some shit. If you look into his past, a lot of stuff I don't know how he has such major deals without his past being brought up. Look at the Rolling Stone article. Have you seen that? No, Stacey. I bet most people don't know about the Rolling Stone article about Snoop Dogg.
No.
Before
refresh our memories,
all right,
or
Snoop Dogg was Snoop Dogg for a while, Snoop Doggy Dogg, and then he decided he was going to announce that he was pimping women, and he had a pimp tour bus, and that he was selling women to professional football players and basketball players. He was bragging about it to Rolling Stone, and then he became Snoop Lion because he had to. I don't know how people missed that. Like, I missed it too. It's in Rolling Stone.
That was real though. That wasn't like him.
No, this is
joking
real.
around.
This is real. And I've heard even interviews, some follow-up stuff that's a little more controversial that I'm not going to talk about. But yeah, that's all real. Look into it. And I don't know how Snoop Dogg gets away with it. This is a guy who wanted to become a pimp after he got rich and famous. This wasn't like before, like, I was 17. I didn't know any better. This was like after he's a millionaire. So I don't know how.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think he's got issues. I think if he's got a lot of lawsuits. I don't know how some of these guys are getting these weed deals like this. Mike Tyson's another one. Like, how does he get weed deals? Why are people?
Look at politicians. Look at politicians, right? There are a lot of really shitty people that once even they can have all the money in the world, but it isn't. And that's what my theory is anyway, that, yeah, it's about money, but you know what it's about more, in my opinion? Power. Power. There are people that get off on power. You already have your money. They already know how to make money. Money doesn't matter anymore. You got enough of it. They can do whatever they want. It's
Yeah, I
power.
think it
It's
was
the
I
control
think
of
you're right. I think
everything.
it was a sick fantasy, a power fantasy.
Politicians,
Yeah, we got
get the
someone
money
on
and the
the
power.
on the Twitch saying I want power. And doesn't everyone want power? There's that, remember that Tears for Fear song? Everyone wants to rule the world. They say I would do anything for power. I'd
Eh,
say with power comes
any-
great responsibility. So I think
yeah,
that's
but
until you've
also if
had
you have enough
power.
money to not give any fucks.
Yeah, when you get in a position of responsibility and power, if you have a conscience, it's hard to sleep at night. So that's why I don't work for don't think you kid yourself. Like I know I've been involved in cannabis, the fight for cannabis reform forever, since like 2000. I was there for every reform, decrim, medical, legal. I've had a lot of offers from these big cannabis companies to be like, middle management, to be a front person. And I could have made money on this shit. And I said no, because I like to sleep well at night. I've been in that position before in the financial industry. I am so much happier walking dogs than I ever would at being at one of these positions of power in the cannabis industry, because they're the ones who are laying off people. They're the ones who are killing people. Don't wish for something that you really don't know the repercussions of, because it comes out. Like, I don't care. You have to be really a psychopath, I believe, to not worry about these things. What do you think, Stacy?
Will you repeat that last part?
Yeah.
Sorry, it broke up a little bit.
I'm just saying, like, when you get into a position of power, it becomes difficult, especially in corporations,
Oh yeah.
especially when they're asking you to, like, I'll give an example. I had a crisis of faith in 2008 when I worked at AIG, who needed the largest financial bailout in the history of the world, basically, from the Federal Reserve Bank. And I was managing a lot of money. I was an employee at AIG. I also had a cannabis bust that I hadn't disclosed to the company or my licensing. So that meant if I left AIG, I was basically out of the industry. I wasn't going to be able to get licensed again, just because I didn't disclose that I got arrested for like 1 gram of medical cannabis before it was legal. So because of that, when I'd snaked through the licensing process, it happened right as the license was getting approved for me. So I'd squeezed through, and I'd worked there for like 5.5, 6 years at that point. And I was making good money, like the best money I'd ever made. And this is my early 30s. And basically at that point, they came to me and were like, yeah, we're going to give you extra money if you tell your tell your customers, who are basically, nurses, teachers, doctors, janitors, custodians, cafeteria workers. We had all like the nonprofit and public schools and the public government business, 403 business. We were like either number 1, number 2 in each market. So we had a lot of that business where I was, going into schools and hospitals, and I was their money guy. I was telling them, how to invest their money with us. And my company basically needed the largest bailout ever. And their solution was for us to go to our customers, the ones that trusted me the most, that I had a relationship with, that I played softball with, the folks at Shriners Burns Center, for instance, in Boston, Massachusetts, who are nurses. They wanted me to go tell them to lock up their money for 20 years with AIG. And I could not sleep at night. I couldn't do it. This wasn't like selling someone an expensive watch. This was their life savings. And I didn't know what was going to happen. Now, fortunately for AIG, they did get that largest bailout ever, and everything turned out okay for AIG. But Lehman Brothers had just collapsed. And if we look at all what's happened with crypto recently, if AIG hadn't been what they call too big to fail, people would have lost their life savings. And, that would have crushed me. So I made a decision to leave that company. And I swear to God, I'll never go back to that type of situation again. I think that people don't know until they're in that situation. There's more than money. There's peace of mind. There's feeling good about yourself. There's feeling good about what you're doing for other people. I didn't have to worry that I had, screwed out people out of the life savings. That's just not I don't know. I don't know how people do it. I really don't. And I don't think you have to do it. Like, I'm so glad I went that route. It was hard for 5 years, even longer than that. I really bottomed out, but I'm very happy where I'm at now. So I think that people don't know about power until they have it, a taste of it. That's my story on it. You have any comments on that, Stacy? Now that I've gone off on a side tangent tonight.
No, I mean, dude, kudos to you for getting out of that. And I can't imagine what that had to be like, seeing how all of that went down. And I don't know. I remember my dad ended up, losing half of his 401k, during the collapse in 2008. And, just how those types of things really affected everyday Americans. And, it's good to know that that doesn't make you sleep well at night. But getting away from it did. But, we've all encountered people that lack empathy. And there are people that completely have no empathy. So, we don't really, people like you and I don't run into those people often because we try to surround ourselves with good folk. But those folk are absolutely real, and they're absolutely in the places where we do not want them to be, like at the tops of Trulieve and, at the heads of banks. So, I don't know how they can sleep either, but, we know that we're good people and we're trying to do the right thing and encourage others to do the right thing and come together and make all the good things happen for all the good people.
It's funny because I wonder about Wiz Khalifa now. Like, he liked that video that we played with James talking about the workers getting deported. And the quote on it that I left on his Twitter was, Wiz got paid, workers got deported. And he liked that. And I just wonder if he liked it because of the money part, that that's all he cares about is getting that money. I wonder if he actually does have a concern about those workers and the immigrants that are getting deported. What do you think, Stacy? Do you think I'm naive to think that he might actually care? Or do you think that it's just about the money? That's his whole thing. Just get the money.
It's a good question. This is a person that neither of us know. This is a celebrity. This is a, celebrity rapper with his name on a lot of things. And I don't know. I would hope, that the like means, the acknowledgement of, holy shit, I didn't know this happened. But, also, he could go ahead and comment with that too. Holy shit, I didn't know this happened. Looking into it further, fam. Whatever. I don't know. But regardless, we can only kind of wait and see if anything is done and keep hammering home. Now that we know this dude is responding, keep it going. These issues aren't going away, so the tweet shouldn't be going away.
Wiz,
right?
call in, hashtag call in Wiz. Brett West
Hashtag call in Wiz.
Yeah. Brett West writes on YouTube, Trulieve deserves the bad press. They're terminating amazing employees to cut costs. They've been terminating people like over and over. There's been so many cycles of layoffs now. Now they're laying off all their retail workers, which is just insane. That's why there's so many complaints from the customers too, like about the lack of service and the waits, and they can't get their medicine for a week. It's just out of control with Trulieve right now. It's all over the industry, but especially with Trulieve. Kelly Heist, who was one of those laid off Trulieve Florida employees, she wrote, Wiz doesn't give a damn about anyone but himself. He would have done more than like the comment. And I think you're right. If he gives a shit, call in, Wiz. We got a number here. It's nationwide free, 978-560-3155. Anyone can call in right now, including Wiz, including Kim. I'm still hoping. I'm still holding out that we're going to hear from Claudia tonight. Another Lou comment. He writes, Trulieve has plenty of money to burn on their lobbying efforts in Florida, but no money to pay workers. Exactly. And they've spent I don't even know how much. It's like over $50 million now to get this legalization adult use ballot initiative. If they took that $50 million, you know what they could have done for their workers?
They make half of that and do like 100% of what workers are asking for. Give me a fucking break. Like, this isn't, you know, I think that this industry is unique in the way that there are, these big MSOs and corporate cannabis, and not just big MSOs, single state operators that are very prolific. Like, we have several here in Michigan. Come from and made their millions and billions in other industries, right? You got tire companies and pharmaceutical companies, farming, agriculture, you name it, tech, whatever you want. And when they came over to cannabis, they were like, cool, I know how to run a business. Here's my blueprint. Bop. And it didn't fit. It was like putting a square peg in a round hole. They're like, oh, how do I make it fit? It doesn't work. But now, they made some of it fit. And the one part that they really wanted to squeeze in the most was regulatory capture and the, iron mace of labor, bad labor practices that they brought over from their respective industries. That is a main thing, is treating people like shit and, being very low paying. This industry is being fucking run off of temp workers. When you're a temp worker, you're not getting benefits. It is not a mutually beneficial position to be in. You have no job security, so I'm high. I'm sorry. I forgot where I was going with that.
That's all right. We're the Young Jerks. Speaking of Stacy, say your last name again. Wachropsky?
Wachropsky. Yeah.
I got it. Cool. Thank you. And we're speaking about Trulieve and other cannabis dispensaries tonight. We're also taking your phone calls real quick because we're about to go. So if anyone wants to call in, 978-560-3155. Hashtag call in Wiz, calling Kim. But you know what? I definitely want to play. I'm going to play the video again for people that didn't see it. I want people to see Wiz Khalifa responding to the Trulieve criticism. I also want people to see James at the end of the video, and also Stacy too, her speech from Hash Bash. So we're going to play that again to end the show. Hopefully, we'll be able to try to reschedule Claudia. Usually if people blow me off, honestly, I don't give them a second shot, but I really do want this Claudia interview. So I may give her a second shot. We'll see, but I'm not happy. I got to admit, I know it's Easter, but when I say 7 PM, I'm here. I'm freaking here like every night. You know what I mean? And like when people, like, we got an audience here for you,
It's
like
Easter. Give her a break. She's with her family.
All right,
She's going through her lottery.
It is Easter. I know I'm a hard ass. Huh? I'm such a dick. I'm being a dick. I'm being a spoiled brat. I want it when I want it. I'm it's killing me is like I could have had like Claudia and this other Trulieve worker too a few weeks ago. And I'm so mad at myself that I just didn't do them, but I was sick. So part of this is like me. Like, it's like just I want to get these workers out there. I want to get their messages out. And sometimes I know if I don't do it right away, it's not going to happen. So I'm more than anything, more than being mad at Claudia, I'm mad at myself, but we'll get it out there for you guys, hopefully. So we got a spammer on Twitch. He's offering us a promotion of our channel. I love it. Oh man. And his name is, no, I'm not even going to say his name, but it's just funny that some of the comments that come through. We're the Young Jerks. I want to thank you so much, Stacy, for being on the show tonight. You have any last comments you want to leave before we close off the show?
No, thanks again for having me on, man. And to all the workers out there, if you see something, if things are not going the way that you thought or envisioned them to, you're not the only one. And talk to your coworkers. Organizing in the workplace has never been more important. This is happening all over America. I mean, all over the world. Frankly, look at the UK. People are organizing. We need serious labor reform, and the only way that's going to happen is if the workers stand up. Cannabis cannabis shouldn't be treating people like this. This is the opportunity to make things right for a lot of people. This is the opportunity for, generations to really get the opportunity that they were looking for. And, the only reason that, or the only way that we're going to be able to change that is if we come together and, organize with your coworkers and, everything from unionizing to, co-ops. I mean, there are options. Don't quit your job. If you quit your job and you go to another cannabis place, you're likely going to have the same issues again. So, take a stand. I know it can be scary and it can be hard, but you're worth it. You're absolutely worth it. If you do it now, future you will be like, thanks. I appreciate it. I like my savings account in my house and my healthcare. But thanks again for having me on. And if anybody, if you want a private place or person to go and talk to, I'm here. That is my handle at @SaceOfBase_85 on both Instagram and on Twitter. I'm here to talk anonymously. If there's anything you'd like to share with the public that you don't feel like sharing, with your name attached to it, I can help with that too. But, it can just be an ear to listen. I know it can be really difficult when you're trying to organize your coworkers, or when you're like, holy shit, something's going wrong and I don't know how to fix it or where to go. There are people to talk to. I'm one of them. Mike's one of them. So hang in there.
Thank you so much for everything you're doing for workers, Stacy.
Thank you, Mike. Seriously. Thank you.
We're the Young Jerks, and we're going to close it off tonight. We're going to play the video again with Wiz Khalifa, as well as Stacy and James talking about what's going on at Trulieve.
What's up, y'all? It's Wiz Khalifa here. Been hearing a lot of talk on the internet, I usually don't address things, but I figured I'd address it in this way because I like to express myself. And this is how I like to express myself. I wrote a little poem. It's called Stop Making Jokes About My Feet. Stop.
They paid a guy $375 an hour to feed us anti-union propaganda, divide our friendships, surveil and spy on us, and ultimately it worked. Since then, I've spoken to cannabis workers all over the country who are facing similar and equally dire work issues that affect everything from health and safety to scheduling. The new example corporate cannabis is trying to send is that they can take us down just as quickly as they built us up, by eliminating jobs before they could turn into careers. Gage Cannabis laid off over 75 people in a single day without warning, along with several hundred others in March of last year. In June, Common Citizen let go over 100 employees without notice in a single day. And in July, Loom closed 4 stores and let go of over 60 people. This corporate behavior is dangerous. By allowing the same big money interests to brand our industry with poverty wages, no benefits, no upward career movement, and no respect for our communities, we are setting the bar for just how much we are willing to take as a society. We cannot let the bar sit where big cannabis has placed it. But what's worse than losing your job, going to work and not coming home, which was the case for 27-year-old Lorna McMurray, who was killed at a Trulieve grow facility in Massachusetts last year. Lorna had no history of breathing or respiratory issues, yet her second ambulance ride from work ended up being her last, as she succumbed to those respiratory issues just 4 days later. So is this how we want to be treated? Is this how we want ourselves to be treated? As disposable? As a means to an end? If there are no protections put in place for workers, like the upskilling that is needed and enforcement of health and safety protections, and if workers do not find their voice and come together in the workplace, it is not a matter of if, but a matter of when someone doesn't come home to their family at the end of the day right here in Michigan. The overpromising of big cannabis can no longer be ignored or swept under the rug.
Whistleblower exposes how Trulieve knew immigrants on visas would be deported before ever even hiring them.
Yeah, so a lot of the Latino employees that we had, they were in the country on work visas and stuff like that. A lot of them were on the harvest team, that and the outdoor crew. And she's the one that actually blew the lid on it. So when she found out, she went to her superiors and she was like, hey, is this true that if people working for Trulieve, they can't renew their green cards, they can't renew their work visas? And they were like, yeah. And she goes, well, why aren't we telling them this? And they were like, well, it's not important. And she was like, yes, it is. This is big because these people will get deported. It's not they might get deported, they will get deported. And they were like, well, we're working on that. And so anyway, they didn't want to tell the employees. They actually told her to be quiet.